Right, let's be honest, golf can be an incredibly expensive sport, and if you're shopping in today's market, you're likely to spend thousands of pounds upgrading your golf bag, but that doesn't need to be the case. You don't need to max out your credit cards in order to find performance. We're going to be looking at 6 amazing golf clubs that aren't expensive thanks to our friends over at Golf Clubs for Cash. We're going to be proving that there are some amazing performance gains to be had out of the second-hand market, and there's a modern powerhouse in here that you can pick up for an absolute steal. Let's get into the video. Now, first on the tee is the Ping i25 driver. Now, I absolutely love this selection, and I was really happy to see one of these available on Golf Clubs for Cash, because this is back when I really liked how Ping drivers looked. It's a much more kind of squatted head. It is aerodynamically efficient, and there are the racing stripes on the top, but these don't unfortunately help it go any faster. But much like the turbulators on today's Ping drivers, I guess it's a slightly controversial topic, but I do find these lines on the back here actually really help frame the ball quite nicely down at address. They do have this kind of rear weighted system here, and these this tungsten weighting here to increase the MOI, pull the CG back and help with forgiveness. So what I found was it was slightly slower and slightly more spinny than some of the drivers on today's market, but all in all, I thought the performance was pretty good. I hit a lot of fairways, hit a lot of straight shots with this, even though I thought that I had hit it out the heel and the toe. And for that reason, at just over £150, this driver is an absolute steal. Now, it does come with a standard kind of Ping stiff flex shaft. That is obviously something that you could change, and you do get the option to change the grip before purchasing this club, as it does have a fairly large mid-size grip on it. But all in all, this is a really good driver. Released back in 2014, so we're talking 12 years old now, but in its time was gamed by the likes of Lee Westwood and Bubba Watson. You know, real ball strikers had this driver in play, and you can too now for the price of just over £150. If you're looking to get more from your game off the tee in terms of, I guess, distance and forgiveness for a decent price, then the Ping i25 driver is the way to go. Now, next up, we have one of the clubs that started one of the biggest trends in the golf game right now, and that is the TaylorMade SLDR Mini driver. Now, this is a really, really cool piece of kit that I managed to find online in brilliant condition, considering this mini driver came out 12 years ago now. It's crazy to think that they almost didn't get any recognition really when they first came out. It was almost seen as an odd choice to have, and now they are so popular in today's game. And I think this thing still looks absolutely superb. It's got this really nice kind of mechanical look to it with these black and grey gloss black tones. I just think it frames the ball really nicely, and you have this kind of segment at the back here which really helps just gravitate your eye towards centering the golf ball. Now, it's slightly smaller than today's kind of TaylorMade mini drivers, but I really like that. And one of the things I found during my testing with this club that really surprised me was the fact it just really wanted to go left. And I think a lot of today's modern drivers are actually built to fade the ball, and a lot of amateurs struggle with losing the ball out to the right. So having something like a mini driver in the bag where you're not going to sacrifice too much ball speed or distance, but can get the ball turning over right to left, I think is really, really important. And that's something that I look for in kind of my secondary club off the tee, whether that be a 3-wood or a mini driver. Off the face, it sounded really solid and felt really, really stable as well. And this is lofted at 14 degrees. So slightly higher than some of the mini drivers on today's market. You're looking more kind of between 11.5 and 13.5 degrees. So off the deck with that slightly smaller head, this will be slightly easier to hit, and I found that again during my testing. It's one of those clubs that for around £150 again, I think it can be a really valuable addition to your bag. It's one of those clubs that I think a mini driver, if you're looking for something to help you put the ball in play more often, maybe you struggle off the tee a little, you get the slightly shorter kind of shaft length than driver, slightly longer than a 3-wood, so you still get a bit of pop out of it. And it's a really good option if you're in the market for finding more fairways at a slightly cheaper price. Now, number 3 is somewhat of a modern powerhouse, and I couldn't leave this out because I couldn't believe that I managed to snag a TaylorMade Qi10 3-wood at the price of £169. Now, this club is a bit of a kind of icon of its time now. released a couple of years ago, but it has been in the bag of Scotty Scheffler now ever since its release, and TaylorMade just can't get him out of it. Rory has only just switched his 3-wood this year. He kept this in last year as well. And there's a reason why a lot of the non-contracted players on tour put this in the bag and still use these fairway woods. They are superb. What I really like about it is the aesthetics. I really like how kind of clean this crown is. It's got this infinity carbon crown that runs all the way to the top edge, and you get this silver bannering system here just to help with alignment. And underneath, I think it looks really good with these black and grey tones and a bit of this kind of bolt blue detailing as well. It just makes it really pop. Not that you see that side of the club too often. But all in all, I just found this club to be really, really good in my testing as well. Comes with a nice Fujikura Ventus TR blue here. This is a 60 reg, so it's not necessarily the shaft for me, but again, when you're shopping secondhand, these are kind of things that you have to weigh up. You might not always find the club that's perfectly spec'd out for you, but on the market, there are plenty of different options. But this was one of the cheaper ones on the market that I found. And all in all, it's in pretty good nick. We don't really have too many major scratches. There's a bit of light wear on the crown here and at the top of the face, but all in all, for £169, you're getting one of the best fairway woods, I would say, released in the last 10 years. So that's an absolute steal. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you hit the like button down below and subscribe so you don't miss any future Golf Monthly YouTube videos. And if you like any of the products that you've seen in today's video, make sure you head over to Golf Clubs for Cash in order to find very similar products that can help you improve your game. Right, let's move on to the irons. You cannot talk about amazing classic irons on the secondhand market without talking about the Mizuno MP-25s. Now, these things are absolute beauties, and despite a few scratches because they're a few years old now, these things still look absolutely mega. And there's a reason Mizuno haven't strayed too far from this kind of classic design. They very much have kind of kept this in line in today's products. Now, these clubs are absolutely beautiful off the face, and you know, you hear that saying quite often, don't you? Nothing feels like a Mizuno. I think it's their tagline as well, but that's because these are grain flow forged from 102.5 boron steel, which makes them really, really soft. But what I really like about these is these were almost the first of the hollow body players distance iron of their time, I guess. And you've kind of got this pocket here behind, which helps with kind of thinning the face and just maximizing a bit of ball speed. But as you can tell from these ones that I picked up at Golf Clubs for Cash, an absolute ball striker had these irons in the bag before me. It's one of those that you might get away with saying to your friends, oh no, I just had these in the garage, I used them for a long time, because the wear mark is right out in the middle of the face. And it's one of those that you don't really think about too much, but now when I started testing these and I put them down behind the ball, it actually really helps center the face. So it's something that maybe manufacturers could think about in the future, putting almost like a pre-worn wear mark in there. It's something that I found really helped me. But what I really like about these is they're quite a generous size head from heel to toe in terms of the blade length, but they're not too thick on the top, and there's a touch of offset on here. So they probably will appeal to a lot of golfers, especially kind of the mid to low handicap range. The higher handicapper who wants maybe a slightly more appealing, slightly more compact looking golf club, these could still suit due to those kind of faster ball speeds. During my testing, with my 7-iron in particular, I found that I was getting about 6,300 revs of spin, which is pretty good considering these have a dynamic gold S400 shaft in them. And what I really liked about Mizuno back in the day was you had this kind of iconic blue and black multi-compound Mizuno only grip. And these, what I didn't realize until I actually bought them, was they do have a little rib in the back as well, which I've never been a rib guy, but when I put these in my hands, I really, really like them. So that's something that you can find on the secondhand market. You might just find things that you never knew you needed until you buy it, and then it just really does feel good. But all in all, these clubs felt beautiful off the face, and I really liked how they looked behind the ball. So if you're in the market for a new set of irons, I mean, these MP-25s at just over £200 are an absolute bargain. At number 5 on the list is the Titleist Vokey SM5 wedge. Now, considering this came out in 2015, this thing is in absolutely spectacular condition. And the fact that you can pick some of these wedges up for less than £65 is even more outrageous. That's around the third of the price of a new wedge in today's market. So Depending on what kind of grind and lofts you're looking for, the fact you can pick these wedges up for that cheap is utterly ridiculous. I put this wedge to the test outdoors and indoors, and I saw really, really solid spin numbers, and that was largely due to the deeper grooves that were kind of introduced in the SM5 range and that spin mill design. Now, what I really like about the look of this club is kind of the classic satin kind of finish on it. I just think it looks really simple, and I actually quite like the fact that they do kind of put the grind here out on the heel. On today's wedges, they've actually moved it next to the bounce number on the sole here, but I just think that looks quite nice. I'm quite someone who likes a simplistic wedge, but I just think that's a nice little touch. And what I really miss in today's wedges is the fact that you do have the kind of spin milled kind of stamping here. I just think that was something that was really cool and really iconic with Vokey wedges of this time. Now, we saw these wedges put to excellent use from the likes of Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, in particular in 2015, where he won the US Masters and the US Open in the same year using Titleist SM5 wedges. Now, this wedge produced really, really high spin numbers, right up there in the 10,000 range from a 60-yard pitch shot, which is very close to where I saw my SM11. If you're looking to improve your short game, I'm sure you could find some Titleist Vokey SM5s in the right lofts and the right bounces to help you improve your short game. Right, lastly, we've made it to the flat stick. And for this option, I have chosen the Odysey Versa 2-ball. Now, I just think these putters are so iconic. It uses the brand's two kind of most prominent alignment technologies, most iconic technologies in the 2-ball here, as well as Versa. And for that reason, I just think this putter is absolutely exceptional for those of you that struggle with aim when on the greens. Down behind the ball, the 2 balls just align, and it's so easy to see if your face is square to your target, particularly if you put a line on your ball like I do. But also, this putter features the white hot insert. It's so famous and so iconic. It feels amazing off the face, nice and soft, really helps you with your distance control. But what I actually really think is an undervalued part of these putters is the fact that it is hollow through the core here. So when you hit it, you actually get like a sense of a ting as it comes off the face, and it just really helps you with your distance control. These putters, you know, have amassed countless victories on the professional tour, most notably used by the likes of Shane Lowry to win the Open a few years back, as well as Padre Harrington has used one of these 2-ball putters for a lot of his career. Obviously, the grip on this one is slightly worn, but again, when you're purchasing through Golf Clubs for Cash, you do get the option straight away to change the grip before pressing the order button. Putting is all about confidence, and I feel like this putter gives you that in abundance. At around £90, I feel like this putter is an absolute steal, in great condition, and that is the reason why I think this is one of the most amazing golf clubs you can buy at a very reasonable price. So there you have it, 6 amazing golf clubs that aren't expensive to prove that you can get really solid performance without breaking the bank. Let me know down in the comments below which of these clubs you would add to your bag, or if there are any other second-hand golf clubs that you purchase that have made a massive difference to your game. That's all from me. We'll see you next time.